Hello guys, just a quick little video. I had kind of like a little bit of a request on Reddit to talk about my new to me Nagura, so I thought I'd oblige. So this is my big one, excuse the pun in a way, and that was my little tiny baby. They're both basically the same, they've got the same stamps. So these stamps, well, they basically indicate things. So this is the Asano stamp and this is the Mikawa stamp, and I forget what this one is, but this is where it was mined, basically Mikawa mine. And this is the grade quality, which from memory was high grade Mejiro, and that says basically the layer is from, and this has been graded as a Mejiro. Both of these have, like, this one's like 30 grams, this is 230 grams, so it's quite a big difference. So what you do when you get one of these, I didn't actually do it to this because I knew I won't be keeping it or anything, so I thought I'd just leave it for another person, whoever gets it next kind of thing. So what you do when you first get these, well, you can spray the whole stone in lacquer, and then you've got to round the edges. So like on this side, look, I need to chase that up a little bit more because frankly that could still chip off into my base stone, which is not good. So I've got my little, so sometimes I do it with this just because it's quick to hand, and they're relatively soft stones, these Mejiros, and well, I think all of the Mikawa stones are quite, well, kind of soft compared to what you might expect. I've got some really soft ones over there. So you just want to make sure all these little bits are rounded off. I was using it last night, you see, and I realised I didn't quite get this bit, and I did have a bit chip off and go into my base stone, but thankfully it kind of, well, it didn't damage the edge straight away. I looked under my microscope. It must have kind of come out and hit the spine, because I definitely felt it, if you know what I mean. Well, you always do, especially when you've already set the bevel properly. So that's a bit better. But what I do is, with one of my other DMTs, I've got loads of DMTs, diamond plates, I'll do that a bit better. The thing is, I like to be very frugal with all my stones. So, you know, you don't need Naguras, you really don't. You could just use this, you know, you could raise a slurry up, you know, and Bob's your uncle kind of thing, like, you know, and you can just go away, you can use the slurry from this stone. But the problem with any natural stone is if you just continually keep doing that, you never know, you might hit a layer, you know, just under the surface, this, you know, proper tap, basically, no good. You know, it's got some toxic inclusions, I think they call them, within it. So again, that's no good. So then you'd have to grind past it, opening it, you'd find another layer that's good. So kind of, I'm of the theory that you know, you save this because this is your base stone, you know, and you kind of almost sacrifice this as you're grinding, instead of, like, I always give it a little bit of a quick kind of, so I call it a bit of a waking up, and like a bit of an activator kind of thing. And because this is a level 5+ stone, it's really hard. So even this plate don't really sort of do much to it. It just sort of activates it, so the abrasives of that stone kind of marry in with this stone, basically. And you always have to do that to a base stone eventually, but you can do it in different ways. You don't have to use a diamond plate. So, for instance, when I bought this JNAT from Japan, the kind gentleman, he sent me this little Mejiro, and he said he was going to send a little tiny Mejiro for me, which he did, which I've used, and it's lovely. But then he also sent me these. So these are called, well, some people call them hobo stones, but they're effectively just ungraded Mikawa stones, basically. So sometimes they're stones that have chipped off, you know, like big bits of this. So instead of just throwing them away, they just say, look, here's some ungraded stones, you go away and you test them, you see if they're any good. And a lot of them are quite flat like that. So, but what you can use them is, see, that's stuck to it like instantly. You can use them to basically flatten your stone, or at least keep it flat, help it keep flat, take out high spots, all of the above kind of thing. And what I did when I first got these is I had no idea about them, so basically I went onto the forums and started searching, and I found a really good website called naturalwhetstones.com, something like that. I'm sure if you type that in, it'll find it anyway if you leave the com off. Yeah, and I found out that I found a stamp, and yeah, they're called hobo stones, and they can be from any strata, they can be any part of the mine basically. So what you got to do is go away and test them. So what I did is just a really rudimental test. I got my big diaflat DMT plate that's very old now, but it still works quite wonderfully. And basically I just kind of, I think I did 4 laps, so like 4 laps there, I did 4 laps there, and then on a dry plate as well, 4 laps there. And basically from doing that I could tell that that was really hard compared to that, and then that was softer than that kind of thing. So if you wanted to grade them in softness, I would kind of say that that's over there, and there could be 2 in between. Do you know what I mean? Because the gap from that to that was quite big. But again, you know, that's not how Majuras work in a way either, because it's not just about the softness of it, because the abrasive particles within it might be really sharp and grindy, and they might interact with your base stone different. So you can use that as a bit of a base start to get going, but you've still got to do your own testing, and you know, you've got to get doing the doing. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the only way you'll ever find out what works and what don't. But what I can tell you is these 3 stones, they don't damage my razor's edges. I've done literally like 5 razors one day, and I couldn't see any chipping or anything like that, and I ended up with shaveable edges. Not the best shaveable edges in the way, I'd call them a bit toothy. I didn't get irritation as such, but still they were a bit toothy. They weren't the most smoothest. But again, and I went from a 2000 Shapton Pro grit on that, which I'm discovering is possibly still too toothy to go, you know, like do the 1 stone thing. You know, people do get 1 stone results and they're good, but I tell you now, for nothing, they're never going to be as good as going from like an 8k or 10k or something and then going to your Naguras. Like, you know, you can, but you'd be there all day. So this is basically the Naguras that are considered kind of like straight razor sharpening worthy. I'm not going to say them because I just come across as offensive, but the first one is coarse, second one medium, Mejiro, which I know, fine, and then you've got a Tomo. So what's a Tomo? Well, Tomo is just basically another stone. You know, like another, it don't even have to be a Japanese stone really, it's just another, you know, like another quality stone. So this one is off kind of like a 4.5 level hardness JNAT, which was a lovely stone in itself. And you know, same again, you just can get rubbing it when it's nice and wet, make a nice paste, and that's lovely. That's really creamy and just a lovely little Tomo that is. I save that for my razors because it's only little, so you know, it's not going to last forever kind of thing. Special occasions. And this one is a Nakayama. That's not my working face, I use this side. I like keeping the stamps if I can. Yeah, so I've rounded this one off quite well. And when I first got this, it was a nightmare, it was chipping off everywhere, but now I've stopped the chipping kind of thing. I've just got to be a little bit careful of that, so that's why I ground it off a little bit more there. And the other thing about Naguras, so every time you get a Nagura, you've got to match it to your stone, so it might not match, you see, which is a pain, because you could buy a Nagura and it don't match none of your stones kind of thing, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles, you know what I mean? You could buy a Nagura off somebody that was working on his water of air or JNAT or, you know, a known stone, kind of thing, like let's just say a black Arkansas or whatever, you know, it's working lovely on there, and then you could have a black arc and then you get it and it don't work, you know, it's just, that's the way the cookie crumbles kind of thing. So this one, this is rated at roughly sort of 10,000, so it's a really hard stone. It is hard, like I actually believe, like I've not done it, but in my mind I kind of believe that I could actually use this as a little like finishing stone. It feels like I could to me, and Nakayama stones are considered some of the best finishes in Japan from my kind of rudimental study, if you know what I mean. So this stone works on this stone in terms of it don't damage this stone, because again that's the other thing that you're looking for, that's one of your initial tests. But this stone very much damaged my 4.5 level hardness JNAT, because that's softer, and it just didn't like it straight away. I put scratches in it, which was very disturbing. You know, I don't mean just these little poxy ones that you do get on stones. I mean like it was scratching it. I could nearly feel them with my, well I could feel a couple with my nail. So, you know, instantly that's just stop, and you know that don't match it. But then like this don't damage it, and if anything it seems like it interacts with it quite nice, but I haven't tested it yet, so I ain't, you know, what you've got to do is you've got to basically sharpen 10 razors and shave with them, and especially if you've got 10 razors that you know are good shavers on other kind of stone setups and whatnot. So what else can I tell you? Oh right, so on Badgers and Blade I got talking about Mejiros, well sorry, Naguras and stuff, and some gent, I think his name was Brad, I forget his profile name, and he basically just said a good tip is, you know, the face stone, the working side of the stone, which, you know, I consider that like the opposite side to the stamp. It don't have to be, it could be whatever you want really, but that was already kind of conditioned flat, so it's like that, I'll try that. But he said you should always kind of have one that goes up the side, or even two. So that's what I've done. So I've kind of started conditioning this one, and I'll continue to, you know, make it a, you know, a better surface and whatnot, and also this one. So, you know, that means I've got like 3 sides to basically check which one's the best, because like the gentleman said, you know, these are built up in multiple layers over millenniums and whatnot, so there's all sorts of different particles within it, and you know, that side might be better than that side might be better than them all, you don't know, kind of thing, until you try. So that's one of the fun things about the Naguras as well, like they take you down that like rabbit hole of learning. It is almost like continual learning in a way, which is quite cool, and it's just cool working with slurries and stuff. It is, to me anyway, it's nice, like it's I don't know, it kind of assimilates well with my mind, if you know what I mean, and like the ritualisation of it, but not to a silly level either, you know what I mean. Jobs got to be done, you've got to do them, sort of thing. So yeah, I think that's kind of it in terms of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rinse this off quick stone, because I've been messing around with it a bit, and I'll quickly just show you my technique a little bit on my lava catcher blades, because I did a post yesterday on Reddit, and you know, I just had a few comments on that, and then Ron Coyote as well, he's sharpened many of these and whatnot. So that's these little blades, and with a 7-day set they come in this little kind of plastic case. Like I'll be taking them tapes off now because they're finished. And one thing I noticed while sharpening these is you don't get as frosty as finish with them, because the metal's just so hard. Like I found literature ages ago about how, you know, these well, even the Swedish called it a special steel, if you know what I mean. And I found like a Noz one of these that was one you could buy in a shop as a single, and I got the translator out and everything, and it's actually said on it like special steel and that, and so it was interesting. And they're definitely what I'd call more brittle. Not that I've chipped the edges or anything, but you can tell they're right on the edge of what I'd call brittleness on the edge, just like some of my Japanese like high carbon razors and whatnot. So some people, they put grooves in the bottom of these, and then they and then because it stops it sticking, because I tell you, like these can get stuck, like, you know, flat surface, matted on a flat surface, these like sucking up water. So these are always a pre-stoked stone as well, so get them soaking like 5-10 minutes, and it helps them just soften up a little bit. But one of the things I read months ago before I even got Naguras is basically you always, in a way, you want to create a dome. So, you know, I could get my DMT plate and I could grind away loads of this, well not loads, but too much for my liking. I work for the Self-Preservation Society, I do. So you could do it on them, but I just figure, well, through time, if I keep just doing this, it's just going to come, innit? Especially if I do it the other way as well. Eventually, it's just going to come. So that's what I'm going to do. So basically, I'm doing that. I'm doing a rocking motion. That little one was a complete pain in the bum to get any form of slurry because it's got such a flat bottom and this stone is hard. You know, I'm not an expert in any means to do with hardness of stones, but I've got you know, like I've had natural stones in the past. I've got a lovely cottacle from an ex-barber lot I bought from the 50s, possibly the 60s, but I reckon it's probably from the 50s because he had receipts and everything in it from the 50s. I've got a water of air stone that's quite a hard stone, but still it's nowhere near this. And obviously I've had my, well not obviously, but I've had my first JNAT, which was a level 4, which was a lot softer than this. And in one of my videos on YouTube I kind of put them side by side to show that, and I sharpened 4 razors, 2 apiece on each stone, and tested the edges, and well, basically my face couldn't tell, so I was really pleased with that because it means whatever. You know, I've had 2 really good stones, and this new stone, meaning the level 5's very good. Right, so you don't want too much Nagura. If anything, that might be a little bit too much. You know, some people like doing it with a lot, but so that's somewhere near. And then we've got these little, I'll just move that out of the way. I do when I'm just, well, when I did all those the other day, like 13 of them the other day, I was just sat there like with one hand and that. But generally, if I'm just going to do one, this is how I do it. And you do get faster as you're doing it. You do find a flow. And what I was trying to say in kind of my message yesterday, and I tried to say this to somebody else as well, but again, words don't really paint a picture sometimes, do they? Or at least it's harder. So I'm not putting too much pressure on it, but you've got to make sure, you know, that's contact, that's a contact. It's not much pressure. But then when it gets to there, you know, all I do is act like it wants to. Like personally, I think they designed it because the way it flips up, it wants to. It's like it's telling you to do it, kind of thing. I'm somebody that likes using all my stones, so I kind of do a few crisscrosses and go right to the edges. You know, the whole stone's there to be used. That's about it then, really, boys. Nothing else really to say. Just got to put the final edge on this. I'll be here. Well, this one, I'm going to put a marker dot in the middle of this when I'm done, because this is going to be the one I'm going to spend more time on it today to see if I can get more of a frosty. Well, I must be able to if I spend more time. So anyway, yeah, these are my blades for my 7-day set, so I can do whatever I want with these. Have a little play and whatnot. Yeah, so I'll be here. I don't know. I'll be here at least, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, maybe even a little bit more. Check it under my scope. Longer than I did some of my others yesterday anyway. And they've all got keen edges. They're all popping hairs, if you know what I mean. I use my wife's hair to test all my razors. She's got quite coarse hair. I've got a daughter with blonde hair, like she takes after me. Not that I'm blonde, but I was when I was born. And her hair's really fine. So it's not much good for testing razors. I suppose if I did start popping hairs with razors though, you'd know it was exceptionally good, I guess. I don't know how that works. They're just too bendy. Whereas my lady's quite coarse. Just like her, really, quite coarse. And then once I've done this on the Naguras, so I don't know if you can see it, I don't know if that's coming across right. So what happens is, you can see the transformation in the Nagura. I forgot about this. I was going to shut down then, but so look, you can literally see the transformation. It's happened right just then. Literally, it goes within 2 laps, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh. So what's happened is the Nagura has joined forces with particles from my base stone. And what you'll see is if you keep doing it, so basically that's gone like a green hue first, and then as you keep going, sometimes it can take minutes, sometimes it literally happens within like a lap, and you're like, oh. So it's actually happening now, I can see it now. So what you start noticing now is then it starts going almost to me like a blue, you know. So because if you look at this stone, the base stone, I call it a bit like avocado. My 4 level hardness is proper avocado stone, I call it. But this one's also a bit avocado. But if you look down here, look, there's some blues, man. You know, and if you go under the scope, they're actually blues. Like if you put the scope right down on it, they're actually blues. There's actually some reds in there a little bit as well. So what happens is, first, the slurry kind of takes on a bit of green, and then it takes on the blue. But that blue is not actually from the stone, at least this is my thought, and again this is only my thought, but it's the metal. So then you're actually taking microscopic parts of the metal that then blend in with the slurry and the Nagura and whatnot. But you can literally see it happening. Like if you put quite a lot of slurry, sometimes you can really see it. It's really quite, and again it's interesting, isn't it? Because it means it's indicating that it's doing things. So you've got to bear in mind this has come from an 8000 Shapton edge, this is, which is near mirror finish. If you take it to the 12, it's like a full-on near mirror image, but this is damn near mirror. So there's not like, you know, many serrations to take out kind of thing. You've already tried to get most of them out on the lower grits, so you're kind of like, oh right, so if it's not taking out serrations, it means it must be putting them in, and that's what the J-Nats and the other natural stones do as well. You know, I've got high praise for my water of air as well. Like, it feels very similar to, well, my level 4 J-Nat, especially, like, not so much this one. Different ball game when you get stones this hard. But yeah, I can get quite quick with it. See, I was getting my flow now. I can go a little bit quicker than that, and I have nearly put my finger on it. But look, if you do it two-handed, you kind of minimise, because if you look at my fingers and thumbs, they're always down the side. But I ain't worried about getting cut, you know what I mean? Gee whiz, who cares? Something I definitely don't worry about anyway. If there's one thing us humans do, and that is we heal pretty well. Right, I think that is it though. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't shut it down before, because I was thinking when I was doing that last night, something I could talk about. But look, if you get, look, you can really see it now. See that? It's almost, well, I don't know if it's coming across on this, but you can see it's almost got that metallic look to it now. It's the green's kind of going. Yeah, so that's it. So I hope you got something from it, lads, and possibly ladies, eh? Who knows? Right, I hope you have a good day. I'll see you about online. Toodaloo.